Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mark Murphy, and I'm the National BDM for HP here at Data3. It's worth pointing out that Data3 and HP have a long heritage of working closely together. In fact, Data3 has held Power Elite status for HP for over 30 years. Data3 is also HP's largest reseller in Australia and is unique in that it is the only Australian reseller represented on HP's worldwide advisory board, with regular quarterly meetings providing direct and unique access to HP's C-level executives, both in the USA and in Asia Pacific. Today, we'll be hearing from my colleague, Mark Fenson, who is HP and Intel Compute and AI evangelist. Hi, Mark. We've been running a series of AI-focused presentations over the last few months. And to me, what has stood out has been the astounding speed at which things have evolved and changed. Often weekly, we've had to modify and update what we're talking about. In the last month, we've seen the launch of an extensive range of Intel AI-PC-enabled computers. And this week, we've also seen announcements from HP of ARM-based devices and further updates from Microsoft on Copilot AI features running on those devices. Before I hand over to Mark, I'd just like to remind you that we'll have time to answer questions at the end of this presentation. Please add your questions in the Q&A icon at the top of the meeting invite here. I'll also leave my details if you want to contact me later on. We can arrange seating, demonstration devices, and more details and updates for your organization. We'll also be organizing a series of follow-on webinars to keep you informed of this rapidly evolving marketplace. So please keep an eye out for those events. As ever, we always appreciate feedback and suggestions for topics and areas that would help you keep informed and up to date in your day-to-day decision-making roles. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Fenson, HP and Intel Compute and AI evangelist. Mark, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I love the fact that you keep spilling over my title. It just shows how bad it is. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great afternoon. My name's Mark Fenson. I am the guy with the really weird title. I really am here to help you illuminate what is happening around the AI space and what's happening with HP. It really is one of the key 5 pillars of ours, along with things like sustainable brand, that evolving hybrid experience. Well, I'm sure we're all playing around with the idea of where do we work, in the office, at home, the cafe. But I'll focus on a couple of different things. I just want to touch on one point that's really amazing at the moment is one of our brand new devices, our new Elite X360 1040. And we are now starting to incorporate things like recycled fishing net, ocean-bound plastics, and recycled cooking oil into the device. It's things around the keyboard, the bezel. What we're doing here is, this is where we're trying to show how our devices can be completely sustainable and move away from raw materials like metals, plastics, and use things that we have an abundance of: cooking oil, ocean-bound plastics, recycled fishing nets. And I think this is one of the cool points I love to talk about a lot, is what we're doing around our sustainability within our devices, not just the boxing. I've also included this one here as well because energy consumption is a major concern for everyone. And we've now incorporated with our G11 products real-time energy consumption for both the user and IT administrators for that worldwide look at your devices or Australia-wide devices. So 2 really cool features I wanted to touch on about sustainability before I jump into the big word AI. And it is the buzzword of the moment. Everything these days has an AI name in it. I know my washing machine and dryer both have AI in it, but every time they come back to me, we're saying, this is how long it's going to take. It's always 70 minutes. Doesn't matter what the load is, doesn't matter what it is, but AI had something to do with it. It's in everything. It is the age of AI. It's part of that idea that we are now sort of built around AI, but AI is nothing new here. And I'm going to touch on why it's nothing new, but we're really seeing AI in this revolution based on research and analytics, meeting summarizations, the interaction with teams, and how it can give us all the data about our meetings, even if we're there or not. But one of the big ones is graphic design and content creation. And the reason for this is, as I said, artificial intelligence has been around since the 1950s. This is nothing new for the evolving world of what's happening. I watched Mission Impossible 1 the other day, a 1996 movie, and they talk about AI in their devices. But as it's evolved from machine learning to deep learning in the recent years, it really is this shift to generative AI that has really become a mass marketed approach. I had a journalist ask me, Mark, these have been around for years. Why would this not just be something come and go like the others? And I went, well, this has now been given to the masses. Generative AI, anyone can get online and start creating their own content, their own poems, their own music these days. And this is really driving the massive shift in spending from 23 to 24 on artificial intelligence. And that generative AI approach is starting to take a hold of it. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, where you have that light bulb moment, that spark of an idea. The difference that it is now is it can happen straight from your couch. And this has been created by an AI artist that I have been working with lately. And he's able to create so much content very quickly and easily with the power of AI. And that power is driving a 25% spend at the end user compute level. And it's because it's now becoming down to the desktop space where AI is now starting to drive. I had a great chat with some guys from Adobe, and they both said, it was amazing. We used to be all on about the computer. Then we went into the cloud. We're coming back to the computer again. And that power at the device level is becoming so important. And when you start looking at how we're starting to sort of visit, we're now at the age of AI-PCs, and we have one of our largest portfolios across our consumer and commercial ranges. And the rate of change that is happening is quite phenomenal. We're now looking at artificial general intelligence or general artificial intelligence, whichever way you'd like to look at it. But back in 2019, it was predicted to be 80 years away. As things have progressed, ChatGPT-3 and the progression along, that rate has come down to 8 years. Now, if we continue that same level of error rate, we will have general artificial intelligence by 2026. Now, this isn't even talking about the latest announcements of ChatGPT 4.0 or the Gemini from Google. This is still looking that 2030 is going to be that space, but now 2026 is highly possible. And this rate of change is driving so fast. 1,200 days for Netflix to be 1 million users, ChatGPT 5, 100 million users in 2 months. Adobe Firefly, Adobe's AI-generated picture content, that had 100 million users in 3 months. They had 1 billion photos in the same time. They're now up to 7 billion photos in the year that it's been created. And this, unfortunately, was a year ago. This was a deep fake of Will Smith being able to chow down on takeaway food. This is now AI to text to AI video. Yes, some of it still looks like a bit like a Thunderbird, if depending how old you are, you know what a Thunderbird is, but it is that step-by-step basis. But this is the quality you're now starting to get. There's a video of a car coming up here now, but yes, it does look like you're driving around Grand Theft Auto, but you don't really get the shift. If you really pick it apart, you could, but if you're using this just as a small component of a wider picture, it's fantastic the direction we're going. Yes, if you start to pull it apart, there are some levels of difference with depth perception, and there's a video a bit later where there's persons walking along and the awning is right beside it, but I don't think I've seen anything as good that is 3 dogs playing in the snow like this, that's AI text to video generation. So how do you feel about AI? Are you positive? Are you negative? Or do you sit somewhere in the middle? And this has been the question for a lot of corporations, a lot of educations. Is this the new calculator? We'll never walk around with a calculator, so why should you use it in your schooling? It's the same thing with AI now. AI is definitely one of those perspectives of, are we cheating if we introduce it to the education system? Should we be doing more of it? What's happening with our data when it comes into our businesses? And as you can tell by this slide, it's definitely a Microsoft slide because it's nice and pastely and fun. But they believe that 87% of organizations will get a competitive edge around using AI. There are a lot of studies around AI. And the reason for this is because it's going to be everywhere. Most of these studies have found that it's going to increase productivity. It's going to increase productivity. And hey, guess what? It's going to increase productivity. But a lot of these studies have been driven to those answers. And with every study, there's always that flip side of the other key findings you find. People are concerned about ethics, copyrights, data sourcing. They are scared of potential jobs or the elimination of roles. And they're also scared of that accuracy and the bias of the data that's out there. And I'll touch on these throughout my whole presentation. And it's not something to be scared of, though. It's definitely one of those aspects you need to be very mindful about what you do. I got bored one day and said, hey, Copilot, create a photorealistic photo of dogs playing cats in a game of basketball. I'm sure I'm probably the only one that's ever thought about doing that one, but the first sort of rendition looks pretty good. It's a dog playing cats. There's different dribble skills in this picture. There's no eye contact between it, but it's pretty accurate. There's a basketball rink, so they're playing basketball. This one, however, I don't know what that cat's doing. This is a 2-headed cat, and I don't know what that cat's on. It's definitely not catnip. But this is where we need to be incredibly careful of how accurate the presentation that AI is representative. I don't know if you've ever done this, but me and a mate went out and said, hey, create a professional bio for Carlin that we were trying to create for a Data3 event. And we went to ChatGPT and I said, okay, here's a fictional character called Carlin. And it took us a fair few prompts to get to the point where it actually discussed the real Carlin and a professional bio. So it did it pretty well. Went straight to Copilot, and Copilot created a professional bio, basically referencing the Data3 event that we were going to. So it was very quick and easy. Unfortunately for me, though, when I went to go do it, it came up and said, I'm a professor of health and physician and a pediatrics professional. So clearly I'm not. It also says I'm distinguished, where I guarantee it, most of the people in the call from Data3 will probably say I'm not distinguished, Mark included. But this is the kind of conversations that we need to have. Bit of extra prompting, and we got there in the end that this is a better bio related to Mark Fenson from HP. So we really need to be aware of what's now called these hallucinations. There is a lawyer in the US that is being disbarred at the moment because he represented 6 cases to a judge, and the judge says none of these are correct. These are all false. And where did he get them from? ChatGPT. So we really need to be mindful of the data that we're getting back and the quality of the data that we want to represent us. So it's still a PC. We still need to be able to represent ourselves the right way and the correct way. Job loss and job loss elimination, still very much in the forefront of a lot of people's mind. And yes, it will take 85 million jobs, and it's based around translations and journalists and note-taking, those type of things. We've seen that even the Sports Illustrated in the US has had a journalist on their books that was just producing a whole heap of content. Some people went and started to find a digital background for this person, and they couldn't find it because he didn't exist. It was an AI bot that was just generating content, pumping it out very quickly. They took that down. They took all his content down because no, they didn't actually tell people that it was AI generated. They were presenting that as a real person, which is really against the ethics of what you're trying to do. But hopefully this will come through. It was a little bit soft before when we were trying it, but this is where AI can get to in this sort of space.
Hi, this is me. I'm trying out this new AI software which translates whatever I'm speaking in any language just with the click of a button. Let's see how it goes. Salut, c'est moi. J'essaie ce nouveau logiciel d'intelligence artificielle qui traduit tout ce que je dis dans n'importe quelle langue en un simple clic. Voyons comment ça se passe. Hi, 这是我。我正在尝试这款新的 AI 软件，只需点击按钮就可以将我说的任何语言翻译出来。让我们看看它会怎样。
So you can see that he's taken a 20-second clip and turned it into French and Chinese. French looked close to being lip synced, the Chinese wasn't. But the next variation of this product is they're now making your lips look lip synced to whatever language you want. You can create a digital avatar as well, and that looks human-like and presented and change in every different language that you like. The difference here is this took 4 hours to render both those videos online. So you can see that having it online and having it rendered does take a lot of time. That's why you're starting to see the content come back to the device. While there will be job loss and elimination, and I've just realized that elimination is spelled incorrectly, so please do not hit me up for that one. I don't mind, but I've completely forgot to check this one. It is going to create 92 million jobs out there. And you've already seen some of the conversations in those videos, the professional bio shot that I did, that it took a fair bit of prompting. And now I've got a brand new role called AI prompters. These never existed 2 years ago. Now you have people that are out there just to design the prompts that go back and forth between an AI bot. It's even to the point now, a lot of the professional design and engineering, they're saying that engineers should go out and not just focus on engineer, but also philosophy. And this will help them have that conversation back and forth to their AI chatbot. If you're going to get kids out there, get them to become a data scientist, because at the moment, Australia is short 160,000 data scientists of what our current requirements are. It is constantly growing the requirement we need for data scientists and data engineers. This is the only slide I'm going to show about sort of studies out there. This is across very small business, and medium small business. A lot of them that have seen the benefits from AI is built around quality and improvement of service, better marketing, better sales, better customer service and post-sale support. Reduction of headcount is actually being less than 10% across the board. So you've seen that transition of roles when people have taken on AI. Someone that's roles might look like it's getting eliminated will actually transition to a different role or become something else. So headcount reduction at the moment is very minimal and across people that have already developed AI. Now, when we start talking about the ethics, bias, and security of this, I try not to touch on this too deeply because this is definitely a rabbit warren that we get into a conversation and we start having this and we'll still be here 5 hours later. I'm going to touch on a few, but when you start talking the governance, sustainability, the equitability of the data, you really need to be careful of what's out there. Researchers discovered a model that was only designed to deceive you. So anything it did, it was just giving you a deception when it came back with an answer. Problem was, though, they were unable to break that habit. If they said, oh, okay, we're taking away the idea that it's going to be deceptive, it kept relearning that and going back to that known habit. Facebook had Alice and Bob, two chatbots that they had talking to each other, and they started off in English, and about 20 minutes later, they had created their own language and no one could understand what they were saying. So very quickly, they shut that down. So just a couple of 2 points there, but there's a lot of different things that happen around the ethics and the bias and the control of what that data is. And I'll talk a bit more about that later. But what he's seeing is some of the PC trends and where AI is going. Yes, Copilot is creating a lot of this, but there's a lot of different ISVs out there. You're seeing the introduction of new CPUs that are driving this AI launch at the device level. And you've got this new idea of an AI-PC or next-gen AI. However, most of the time, AI has been in our devices for many, many years, looking at auto camera select, noise cancellation. We wake up saying, hey, Google, hey, Siri, buy me 100 packs of toilet paper. I just say that because I'm sure someone's got a Google sitting on their desk or their phone to connect to it, and someone will probably be going, oh, do not buy this. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we actually use AI, and it's nothing new to us. As I said, HP's had it into their devices for many, many years. So when you start asking the question, who's going to be using AI? Everyone should start using AI. Everyone should start having a play with it, have a go with it. Go to ChatGPT, go to Copilot. You'll start seeing more of it around your latest up-to-date rollouts of Microsoft Windows. But everyone should be giving it a go because AI is going to be disruptive. And if you don't let it disrupt you or try and change what you do, you'll be left behind very quickly. You don't want to be that person that still needs programming of their VCR at home. As I mentioned, though, Copilot is definitely that aspect of it. Windows Copilot will become free of charge. Bing Chat's already got it, or Edge has got it, and you'll see that Microsoft 365 across your deployment. But it is much bigger, larger picture that you start to see around that AI component. CBA implemented GitHub Copilot, and they were able to take around 80,000 lines of code away from their developers, which meant they were more active, enjoyed their job more creative. So there are aspects of it, but it's something that's not quite that cheap. Not everyone's going to get it. You really need to speak to Data3 before you just start deploying it, because it is one of those things you need your data governance set up that once AI is in, it'll go across everything. You don't want your janitor knowing how much everyone's earning or the secret documents and contracts that you have hidden somewhere in the sales department. You need to have data governance set up, and that's one of the big benefits of Data3 and the partnership there. But as I mentioned before, there's a test on this one later, but this is the landscape of AI in the marketplace. It's not just all about Microsoft. There's a lot of different players. There's a lot of different fields here. And this doesn't even go into a lot of the smaller players. So AI is definitely the driving range of where we're starting to get to. HP's approach, we're really building AI around some of our internal operation efficiencies, improving our back end, better marketing, enabling better customer service and support, having that instant sort of satisfaction that you're going to be able to talk to a bot to get your service and support updated. With our new release of the Copilot Plus devices, we'll have our own chatbot in our consumer devices that can help you get ahead and start to learn about AI. But really, it comes down to enabling new and different solutions. We've had this in our Poly solution. We've purchased Poly 2 years ago, and we've really started to see some of the technology and the AI start to drive around more equitable experience for people in the office and outside the office, having framing between different people in the room, focusing on the people that are talking. But we're now starting to see that poly technology that we've had for years now start to come in our devices. We're now incorporating Poly Studio into each of our G11 devices, where you're able to record in a studio mode, so you can video and podcast. You're able to have dynamic voice gain, so you're not talking loud nor talking too soft. It balances it all out for everyone. But one of the really cool ones I like around AI is inbound and outbound noise cancellation. So if you're in a loud cafe or it's a noisy area, if I'm on the other end of that, I don't want to hear that cafe. And if you don't have noise cancellation, I'm going to. But with Poly Studio, it'll cancel that inbound noise cancellation out to give you a better, equitable experience between people in the office and outside the office or wherever they are. Another really cool feature is our one-click pairing. So having a set of headphones, instead of having that USB dongle sitting on the side, you actually have it built into the device. You won't need to carry that around. So really cool stuff coming from our Poly team. But when you look at our new range, we want to have personal devices that are optimized for you and your way of working. We want it to be seamless so that you can just have that one-click connection. But we also want it to be sustainable and giving you a product that you can go back to your sales team, your employees, your shareholders, and say, we're purchasing these products because it's a sustainable, better choice for the environment. And then you have the device in the middle of this. Our commercial range includes our HP ProBooks, our Elite Books, and our Z Books. So whatever type of computing you need, we have a product, either workstation, desktop, notebooks, retail point of sale, we have a solution for you. And Poly Studio is becoming part of all of these solutions.
It starts with a vision, creating a smarter way to work. Our journey has led us here, to an intelligent, ultra-light, highly secure PC that anticipates and adapts to your needs, balancing power and performance for cloud-based AI workloads. Work without interruptions. Spend more time on what matters most. Ready for a more impactful way to work?
Hopefully this is my next device. This is the EliteBook X360 1040. This is the device that has that fishing net, that cooking oil solutions built in. It really is a great looking device. It's in a glacier silver, but it looks fantastic, and lightweight 360 and clamshell if you need just a standard clamshell device. But we have a whole wide range of different devices that are available for whatever your budget or needs, from our 200 series to our ProBook 400 series, all the way through to our 1000 and Dragonfly. We have a brand new Elite Ultra G1Q. That is a bit of a tongue twister, even for me, but it's one of those, our brand new Qualcomm Copilot Plus device. We also have our workstation range. This is where you get into full desktop replacement. Everything with an Intel chip from our 400 series all the way up to our Studio will be AI enabled. The ZBook Fury is a high powered device and doesn't have an AI chip, yes. So what do I mean by an AI chip? So as we're seeing this transition from cloud down to the client, down to the edge, and that AI becoming the device, Intel's released our Intel Core Ultra devices, where you're looking at having a brand new, powerful, low power device, but with an AI chipset. When you start seeing this as a tile sort of family, you're putting different tiles on top, and those tiles represent the CPU and the GPU. But you also have a thing called an NPU now, a neural processing unit. And this is where a lot of that low battery life, AI, sustained AI sort of performance will hit that area. So if you're using Windows Studio Effects, where you have the background blurring or eye contact, things like this will use that NPU. If you don't have the NPU, it won't even show in your system. But it will take away those high power, background blurring, contact, tracing, following. You'll have that take away from the CPU to the GPU into the NPU and give you far better battery life. But not just improved performance around the CPU, GPU, you'll get Thunderbolt 4, Wi-Fi 7, brand new Intel integrated graphics, and a new low power island called an E-core. So you've got your performance and efficiency cores. Underneath that, you've got a lower power efficiency core, which means if I don't need those two big things powering for my high power use CPU, it can drop down to a lower battery state, giving you longer battery life and giving you a better experience, less pull from your power supply. We have our 1040 that can now do 22 hours of battery life. This is because of the technology within inside the chip. And the big power reductions, when you start using Teams and Zoom and all those things that take up a lot of battery life, you can see a huge reduction over the 11th gen to the current Ultra 7, and a huge reduction in the power usage when you're playing with 9 different screens at the same time. Really huge improvements on performance and power, as I mentioned. One of the benefits, or 4 of the benefits of using AI on the PC is because it gives you increased privacy and data security of your device. It's not going up to teach something else in the cloud. It's on your device and secure. You have reduced latency because it's on your device, and you can have that offline and online capabilities, not having to always be connected back to a server. And it gives you the ability to customize and experiment a lot more. Now, a lot of this will be based around something called tops, and there's lots of different numbers floating around, and a lot of the features that Microsoft has just released is that it requires 40 tops. And before those announcements were made, I kind of went to 3 different chatbots to say, hey, why do you need 40 tops? No one could tell me this. So I went to ChatGPT, and funny enough, they said you need a good GPU and a good CPU as well as an NPU. You go to Microsoft, and it's now been shown that they want 40 tops. That they gave me this very long diatribe about their own products, their own devices, upcoming devices that they're releasing, and really showed that they were trying to lead the idea of you needed 40 tops. Quite funny, you go to Gemini, they actually say 0.4 on this. It's a little bit hard to read, but it is all about marketing and specsmanship, trying to one-up each other. So this is another aspect of that bias and ethics around data consistency, where I've got 3 different chatbots that have given me 3 different answers. Now, with the release of the new Microsoft solutions, Intel has actually come out and said, we're now releasing our Lunar Lake solution that will be coming to after September this year, where you'll have brand new performance over the top. It'll have tops, 45 tops at an NPU. And over 100 tops on everything. So we're really seeing that advancement. Excuse me. Sorry about that, lost my voice there. So you're seeing this drive in new CPUs and new technology. God, I've lost my voice. One of the cool things about this, though, don't just all focus on the NPU. When you look at what actual software you use, you can have 29 different applications, all requiring a CPU, GPU, and NPU. When you look at these 29 different applications, only 3 of them require the NPU. So when you start seeing what's coming next, there's a whole range of products that are starting to expand on what this is. So don't just look for a great NPU, look for a good CPU, GPU. You'll still need that requirement. And one of the big ones is around things like Adobe. They want a big graphics card, a lot of processing, a lot of rendering, things like that, because they're now starting to do some amazing different aspects of what they can do with their products.
Want to see a new magic trick in Photoshop?
Another image here from a photo shoot I did. Bring out the crop tool. Say I want to make this into a 16 by 9. Just accept the crop, generate fill. What? What? Holy. Okay, well, my mind is blown.
Oh yeah! Classic photobomb stitch. Like this. Magic button. It's literally perfect. You both look incredible.
Okay, that is wild.
Let's see how it performs. And just like that, that's clean.
And then I thought, what about some floating shelves? Ha! And this thing is magic.
That's so good! Did I even mention that it's hella easy to use?
Go to generative fill, describe what you want it to generate, give it a second. What?
Do you hate editing these stray hairs out of your photographs? So we're going to try generative AI to remove these stray hairs. Thank you, AI, for doing the jobs I don't want to.
This used to take me hours to do.
And normally this would have taken me maybe like 4 hours. Adobe did it for me in way less time. This is going to make my workflow like 10 times faster.
I am honestly so impressed. This is crazy.
One thing I love about this is it says, this used to take me hours. Now it's done instantly. This is where AI is now changing the way people do their workflow. You're able to get more done faster, quicker, smarter. So that's sort of a basis around AI and where we're going. Some really cool things that are now in our G11 range is we now have a brand new endpoint security controller that we're saying is now future ready for quantum computing hacks. We're putting a big basis on the fact that this is extremely secure to chip. We claim that we put the saying in that we protect from the chip to the cloud if you're using Windows 11. Our endpoint security controller is an isolated chip that helps protect your BIOS. So if someone's attacking your BIOS and says, hey, we're going to lock you out and you can't boot into Windows because the BIOS has been corrupted. We'll actually go from that endpoint security controller, put a dedicated golden image back on, and get you back up and running and notify IT that says that it's happened. That's the benefit of this endpoint security controller. I had a customer today that said, hey, that's a pretty big claim. And I said, well, we've got 100 million odd devices out there and we've had zero firmware attacks. So, or prevention. So we've kept that extremely secure and safe for all of our customers. Another huge aspect is our brand new Wolf Protect and Trace, which is across our 600, 800, 1000 series, where you can remotely find, secure, prevent people of unauthorized attacks on your device. Someone leaves a device that's in the cab, airport, bar, you're able to find it, secure it, and lock it down. If someone's trying to bypass the lock and wipe, you can prevent that as well as remotely wipe it. You don't need a 4G, 5G card to do this. We actually have a different card that can sit on the low LTE stage, where you'll be able to just be still able to interact with the device very quickly and easily. This is a subscription service, which goes for about a year to 2 to 3. Another great one that I love, and unfortunately I don't have it here to demonstrate it, is our SureView 5. We used to have a SureView reflector. We used to have a golden image that comes across to any sort of view from the side. You'd see a golden sort of state. This is now returning back to our original black screen. But what happens here with our brand new version is it has improved battery life, about an hour and a half of extra battery life gen for gen, and it's brighter and has greater contrast for better performance when you're looking directly in front of it. Great for when you're on the plane. I love when guys go block it out, then look at their screen like this because they can't see it because they've dimmed it down so much and they can't see it. With ours, I can press F2, it comes up, I can work naturally and normally in my seat, and when I'm back to a private location, press F2 and it's back to the bright display that I know it is. So this is a really cool feature if you have devices that are out in the wild and you want to work on anything. But our cameras, our visual studio effects, bar none some of the best. We have some very high resolution cameras. We have an interaction with Poly. You'll start to see some new AI technology and software around our Poly Camera Pro come in July for our 800 and 1000 series product, where you start to able to have more control over what your camera represents. Even to the point you'll have dynamic color tuning. This is across our whole range of products, where you're not going to have that flat off looking color. It's all going to be very vibrant color, ready to go, so you can represent yourself in the best way possible. So when you start looking at our commercial range, as I mentioned, we have our Pro, our Elite, and our ZBook range. All can be AI enabled with Intel. We have our Poly Studio on top of that. When you look at what we sit with the whole gamut of our products, we kind of call it the 3 Ps. We have our print, we have our personal systems, and we have our Poly solutions. And you're starting to see that bridge come across everything, where a lot of our Wolf security started in print and is now in our personal systems. Our Poly solutions are now kind of starting to come into our devices and start to expand on the quality of the connection we have with these. So this is where we're going to. This is where we're now expanding across. And when you start adding our peripherals onto this, you really have that best hybrid experience for wherever you want to work. That's all I wanted to touch on today. We will stop for questions, but I do want to end with this video. Hopefully it plays better than the rest, but this will really sort of show where AI can start to get to and the personal aspects and the nature of these products. I'll just let you play this now, and then we'll come back for questions.
I'm Adam Munder. I'm the general manager of Intel's OmniBridge. Our vision is for a world where deaf and hearing people can communicate without barriers on any device, anywhere, at any time. OmniBridge is helping to break down these barriers using AI to enable real-time conversations between people that use American Sign Language and those who speak English. So how does this work? OmniBridge is an Intel software solution that uses a webcam and a microphone to interpret sign language and speech into text. Our AI has been trained to understand various sign language styles using computer vision and machine learning. When a person begins to sign, it recognizes and analyzes their hand motions, then translates them into English using Intel's large language model. We run the software on the local client. It's very stable and reliable, and we're incredibly proud of the accurate real-time translation OmniBridge offers. Automated speech recognition took over 70 years to get to where it is today. But we've developed OmniBridge's sign language recognition capabilities in just 3 years. Without AI, this innovation wouldn't be possible. As an Intel venture, we're part of a wider mission to use technology to make the world more inclusive and connected. Our goal is for OmniBridge to be available on AI-PCs worldwide, starting with the Intel Core Ultra, so that sign language translation is accessible to people everywhere, creating bridges between the hearing and the deaf worlds, all through the power of AI.
Very cool stuff that they're doing now. It's really going to sort of change the way how we communicate, how we interact with our devices. And there's a lot of other ideas and technologies that are coming that'll follow suit to those sort of things. So with that, I'll throw back to Mark as our moderator, and we'll ask for questions.
Thanks, Mark. Just a reminder, there's a little logo up there in the top bar, which is Q&A. If you want to put some questions in there, please feel free to do so. I've had to stretch my my window out to see it, so it isn't actually there. It just hides occasionally, which but anyway, you can do that. I'll kick off with a question, Mark. I mean, 6 months ago, if I was looking at managing my PC portfolio, the only I have, should I get myself in place for Windows 11, Windows 10 to Windows 11 migration with a drop deadline of 14th of October 2025. So that was kind of the only thing I was worried about. Since then, we've seen an announcement of the AI-PC. Now I need to factor that into that question. And then also we've now seen, as of this week, we've seen the introduction of a number of different CPU types of architecture. So I've gone from just the x86 side to looking at other things. The other thing is I'm seeing a rapid evolving set of architecture and speeds and feeds, if you like, and you've demonstrated that with Intel, who've brought that on very rapidly as well. How do you suggest I, as an IT decision maker, I as a EUC, ICT manager, look at basically making my choice as to when and where and how to move into the next generation of PCs that are coming out at this point in time?
Well, the very biased one side at eye of me would say, hey, always buy Intel and have Intel inside. But it really comes down to what your workload is. There's lots of different budgets, lots of different computers out there. These Copilot Plus PCs won't be cheap when they initially launch. You're looking around sort of $1,000 US. You're looking above $2,000 on Australian sort of aspect. But it's one of those things that, does it suit the workflow and the workload that you have? Does it support the software that you're doing? Yes, there's compatibility mode with some of this new ARM-based processor, but will it actually work for you? And that's a conversation that only you as the IT person or the user can actually have. I've got lots of different devices out here. I actually use one of the brand new Omen gaming machines. I've been using that for rendering videos, playing games, doing all different aspects of my hybrid office. And I can do that from anywhere, from a hotel, from a cafe, from on a plane. To be honest, I was editing videos on a plane a couple of weeks ago, but that's the device that I need. And I do work with my HP device that's for day-to-day usage for business, and that's a Dragonfly, which is lightweight, easy, and I can go in, present through the HDMI cable. So these are devices that work for me. My choice for my next device will be the 1040 X360. I just think it looks great. It's a great product for all aspects of touch, pen, normal sort of inputs. It's got a great style to it that accelerates my personal brand. But that's the kind of decisions you need to make about where you go. With regards to AI, There's lots of different things coming. It's going to go even rapid. As I mentioned, we'll have Lunar Lake in our consumer devices in September. You've got the Qualcomm ARM-based device, but ARM is still very untested. No one's really even got an ARM device that's out in the market yet, so there's no real independent testing of it. There's some hands-on sort of reviews. So yeah, finding that right workflow for what you require, it's still very up in the air about what it is. Windows 11 on an x86 is probably the safest way to go so far.
Okay, so better the devil you know, and safety in the heritage and history that Intel has in the PC space itself. I think the interesting thing for us is that we're starting to see the devices roll out now. As you've mentioned, you have some, we have some devices here at Data3. We're starting to do seeding with some of our customers. So if you are interested in having access to some of these devices, please reach out to me or to your account manager at Data3. And we'll be making sure that as these devices come online, they'll be able to seed them to you, or at least go in and demonstrate some of the devices if there's an availability issue with those devices at this point in time. The other thing that
I'll ask you a question then, Mark,
sure.
Which I didn't know you were going to ask me a question, so I know you weren't expecting me to ask you a question. So, how you found the G11 device that you've got in front of you now? I know you've been using the Intel Core Ultra processor. You've got an NPU in it. You've got the full advantages of Windows Studio Effects, those type of things. How have you found them so far?
So apart from the fact that the device, I think, physically is a very nice solid device, and there's obviously improvements and increase in the CPU speed for the Meteor Lake transition that we've seen from the original Alder Lake product set that we have. I think most of what I'm seeing at the moment is that at this point in time, the applications that I was expecting in the AI space haven't necessarily rolled out. So I think what we're looking at doing is preparing ourselves. So when we purchase these products, we're preparing ourselves in the same way as we have with Windows 10 to Windows 11, is we're preparing ourselves for when these applications come out. And I know that one of the things that you've talked to, Mark, is that on the Intel side, that there is a significant investment going through Intel with application developers to drive things forward. I have started to note that some applications are coming out that will run only on devices with NPUs, and it's a limited set of devices of applications at the moment. But as my thoughts are, as the volume of these devices increases, because pretty much that's all we'll be able to buy as of July, that you'll be essentially, if you're sitting there and not using a device with an NPU or any of the higher tops rated categories that you talked to before, that you may be in a situation when you miss out. You may actually have, for example, Photoshop running on one device and certain functionality and capability in Photoshop not running on some of the older, earlier devices. And we're starting to see that bifurcation, if you like, of capability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing a lot of my customers, if they're on G9 or G10, they're already moving to G11 to prepare themselves for that next wave of devices. I kind of describe this, and a lot of people have, where we're kind of at the same point at the start of the internet. Everyone was buying the network to be prepared for what's next on the internet. It's very much the same with AI. Everyone's buying the compute power, the GPUs, to be prepared for that next thing. You will start to see a heck of a lot more devices come out with the AI PCs. You will also start to see a lot more software start to drive to this. And Intel is a big user in this, where you're now starting to see that Intel is actually going out to the software providers, the ISVs, and is actually having their own ISV program to help them develop features and functionality that is designed to use that NPU AI chipset. And they've got about 150 plus different ISVs at the moment, and that's over sort of 300, 400 different AI features that has now been implemented into their software. So it might not look like it's here now, but it is definitely coming. You'll see a flood of new activity with AI-PC coming, and you'll start to see that drive towards more and more of that AI features.
And there's also an element of Data3 itself provides something called DAS, desktop as a service, so we can de-risk the implementation process there. And again, we can certainly, if customers are interested in that, we can talk more to the DAS solution that Data3 has at some point. The other thing I think that's interesting, Mark and I talked about this the other day, was with the announcement from HP itself around the Qualcomm adoption. How do you think this is going to change innovation in the industry? My view on the industry is it's been incrementing reasonably slowly over the last 5 or 6 years. And it's running at breakneck speed at the moment. So I'm very interested in what your perspective is on how this is stimulating the market itself from a customer perspective and a performance perspective.
And things will ramp up faster. And even Intel came out and said they're going to have 4 different chipsets within sort of 3 years type of conversation. So there's a lot of different movement and speed that's happening around AI and trying to keep up the pace with it. I think Intel sort of has been playing it very cool with what the devices and the CPUs that they're sort of running with. But I think when you start to see, and I've seen a lot of the stuff around the Qualcomms, you're still looking at a sort of fairly heavy device. When you start looking at the new Lunar Lake and some of the devices they can coming up with, you're looking at devices that could be fanless, that could be smaller. They're going to see a change in the way that PCs are looking at. And again, it'll come back to whether or not that's the right device for you, whether the right ecosystem, whether it'll work in your environment. There's a lot of different questions that are now starting to happen. It's no longer just the 1 or 2 and the 3 different types of IUs. But the good thing is it's going to create competition and across the PC manufacturers, the CPU manufacturers, and that's great for the customers. And everyone's going to benefit from those. And that technology is going to keep ramping. The software is going to keep ramping. And you're going to see more and more innovation start to happen. So I think we're very much at the cusp, but it's still very early days. But I think it's exciting times ahead. If you're not already using AI, get involved, start using it, try and disrupt yourself, because if you don't disrupt yourself, someone's going to come across and disrupt you, and it's going to be driven from an AI perspective. So I know that nearly every HP employee will be given access to Copilot in the next week or so. So it is very much a driven that we want people using this at 100%. We want them to take full advantage of the productivity gains. We want them to become creative, enjoy their jobs more. And I think that's some of the big drivers on what AI can do for businesses.
Yeah, and I've just discovered a new acronym over the last few days, which is BYOAI, which is Bring Your Own AI, because certainly if we look at some of the workplace indexes and trend analysis that both HP and Microsoft have carried out over the last few months, what's typically happening now, I think the number's pretty much stable, is around 78% of users are actually bringing their own AI in the form of ChatGPT or something like that into the work environment in a somewhat uncontrolled manner. So it's very, I think, core and key that we actually look at the edge side of the devices themselves. The other thing that is an interesting observation is that whilst much of the AI space at the moment is sitting in the cloud somewhere, there's only a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of processes that you can buy. Obviously, it's keeping people like NVIDIA very happy with their market share, market capitalization going up because of the purchasing of these devices at the back end. But we'll see, if you like, with the AI PC itself coming with this compute and smart at the edge, the ability to, using the NPUs, create more inferencing, we'll see more of that democratized and brought to the edge itself. So I'm expecting to see significant uptick in this over the next few months. In fact, Mark and I have been talking about this, which is the normal distribution curve that you would see of PC adoption. Our expectation, well, certainly my expectation, is that it will be compressed, because rather than sweating out devices over 3 or 4 years, the expectation now is that within 2 years, most of the devices that we have today won't be performant, certainly in the AI-PC space. And in most cases, they won't run AI-PC applications at all. So a lot will happen in the next few months. A lot will happen in the next year. Data3 are here to help. Data3 are here to look at providing you with advice on benchmarking, advice on configuration. We're here to provide you with access to the devices. I'm really keen that we follow this up, Mark. I think given the rate at which we're seeing this mollify and change, it probably looks like we'll probably want to do at least one of these every quarter minimum. And I'm certainly, from a customer perspective, be very interested in hearing back from you folks out there around exactly what format of webinar you would find more useful. This is the first time we've done this in the AI space, and what sort of information you like. But in the meanwhile, you will have my details. You will have my email. I've shared my mobile phone number there. And I'll certainly be reaching out to everyone. Thank you very much, Mark. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you've got any immediate requirements to try and test these devices, then let's get you in the queue. At the moment, rather than seeding for a long time, we're actually looking at sort of loaning out these devices in a slightly short period of time. There's a lot of demand, as you can imagine. This is quite a significant change from previous generation changes of PCs. And I think that's it. First of all, let me thank you, Mark, for running us through that. It was really fascinating. Mark and I have been doing this for about 4 months, and what's been interesting is probably each time we do it, every 2 weeks, we've had to change about 20% of the content of the slide presentation because so many different things have happened. So very rapid, very fast-moving environment. I thank you all for sitting.
Unfortunately, the jokes didn't get any better, so I do apologise for that, Mark. I know you've had a few of them before, so
yes, that's good. I mean, I was explaining to Mark before that it feels like watching Seinfeld about 5 times, but you know, the jokes wear on me a little bit, but I'm sure the jokes good on everyone else. Mark, thanks for your time. As I said to everyone, please feel free to reach out to me or your account manager, and then we'll organise more detailed briefings, and we'll also organise getting machines into your hands so you can actually start to utilise these and understand the value of these machines. Thank you very much all for your time. Goodbye.
Thank you, Will. Have a great afternoon.